The 5-cent coin, commonly known as a nickel in the United States and some other countries, is a small denomination of currency equal to 1/20th of a dollar. Number 1, 1966 Liberty Nickel. It was ordinary, common, just another coin in their pocket. But today, this unassuming coin has become a target for collectors and treasure hunters alike. Because in certain conditions, the 1966 Jefferson nickel has sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The outburst shows Thomas Jefferson facing left, along the rim, "In God We Trust," the word liberty and the date, 1966. On the reverse stands Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia estate. Above it, E pluribus unum beneath United States of America and 5 cents. The coin is 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5 grams with a plain edge and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. At first glance, nothing seems remarkable, but look deeper and the value becomes clear. 1966 was part of a strange period in U.S. mint history. From 1965 to 1967, the U.S. government temporarily eliminated mint marks from coins. This was to discourage the hoarding of coins from specific mints during a national coin shortage. So, whether the coin was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, there's no way to tell from the coin itself. This decision made all coins from those years appear more uniform, but it also created an environment where minor differences in strike quality or errors became even more valuable. The U.S. Mint struck over 156 million nickels in 1966. That's a big number. But most of those coins went into circulation, suffered wear, and were forgotten. Very few were saved in pristine, uncirculated condition. Even fewer were struck well enough to reveal full design features, especially the steps of Monticello, which became the most important feature for collectors. If the steps of Monticello, those thin, horizontal lines at the base of the building, are struck clearly and without interruption, the coin qualifies for a full steps if S designation. It may seem minor, but that tiny detail can make a huge difference in value. Most 1966 nickels were struck with worn dies or at lower pressure, resulting in blurry or incomplete steps. Only a small number exist with sharp, uninterrupted full steps. In high grades, a 1966 Jefferson nickel with full steps can sell for $1 of rarity. Demand is high, and supply is shockingly low. Even though mint marks were removed in 1966, errors still happen and collectors prize them. Some of the most valuable 1966 nickel errors include off-center strikes, coins struck away from the center. The more off-center, the rarer it becomes. Values range from $150 to $500 plus. Double-die errors, coins with doubling in the lettering or date. These are harder to find but can fetch $1,000 or more. Clipped blankets coins. Every error has its own market, and every verified mistake tells the story of a unique minting moment. Silver had just been removed from dimes and quarters, and the U.S. Mint's removal of mint marks made collecting less exciting. Nickels, especially Jefferson nickels, were never at the center of the numismatic world. Number 2, 1978 nickels, under just the right conditions, have been discovered to be worth thousands of dollars. What sets them apart? What makes one nickel worth 5 cents and another worth $2,000, even $5,000? This is the untold story of the 1978 Liberty Nickel, a humble coin with hidden value, a rare survivor of an era few thought to preserve. The design of the 1978 Liberty Nickel had remained virtually unchanged since its debut in 1938. The outburst features a dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson, facing left, along the rim, "In God We Trust," with liberty and the date 1978 on the right side. Just below the year, a small mint mark, either D for Denver or no mark for Philadelphia. On the reverse, Jefferson's home, Monticello, stands proud. Above it, E pluribus unum, the national motto. Below, United States of America and the denomination, 5 cents. It was simple, it was strong, and it had secrets in its details. In 1978, over 768 million Jefferson nickels were struck. All accounts, this was a high-production year. But here's the truth. The vast majority were weakly struck, circulated into the ground, or simply discarded. Finding a 1978 nickel in perfect untouched condition, especially one with sharp detail, is a challenge even experienced collectors struggle with. And that's exactly why the few that do survive are incredibly valuable. The 1978 Liberty 5-cent coin was made from a 75% copper and 25% Nickel alloy, the standard composition for nickel since the end of World War II. It weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge. But don't let the common alloy fool you. These nickels, when struck properly and preserved, display rich luster, crisp detail, and collector appeal that goes far beyond their metallic value. Ask any Jefferson nickel collector about full steps, and you'll hear the same thing. It's the ultimate grading goal. On the reverse of the coin, at the base of Monticello, a series of 5 or 6 small horizontal lines represent the building steps. On most nickels, these steps are worn, faded, or not fully struck, but if those steps appear complete and uninterrupted, the coin earns the coveted full steps FS designation. Combine this with a high grade, such as MS66 or MS67, and you have a potential 5-cent coin worth thousands. Collectors look for errors and oddities, and the 1978 nickel does not disappoint. Some known valuable mint errors include off-center strikes, misaligned coins with part of the design missing. The late 1970s weren't glamorous for coin collectors. Most of the attention was on silver coins, pre-1965 issues, or older wheat pennies. Very few collectors saved nickels from 1978 in high grades, and almost nobody knew to look for full steps back then. Because of this neglect, high-quality examples, especially those with FS, are now incredibly rare, and the survivors command a premium. The only way to confirm if you're 1978, 1968, a year of turbulence, transformation, and cultural change. The world watched as history unfolded from the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to the rise of civil rights movements and the ongoing war in Vietnam. And in the middle of this stormy chapter in American history, a small coin rolled off the presses at the United States Mint, the 1968 Liberty 5-cent coin, better known as the Jefferson nickel, was born in a time of unrest. But while most saw it as nothing more than pocket change, some of these nickels would eventually become worth thousands of dollars. How could a 5-cent piece from 1968 fetch thousands? The answer lies in a perfect storm of mintage decisions, overlooked errors, rare strikes, and collector demand. The obverse displays the left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President of the United States. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had removed all mint marks from coins to discourage hoarding. By 1968, mint marks were reinstated, but with a twist. Instead of appearing on the reverse, as in earlier nickels, the mint mark was now found on the obverse, just beside the date. This change would remain for decades. The Denver mintage was high. Most of those coins were poorly struck for speed and efficiency. Only a small percentage were minted with sharp details, and even fewer survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Among Jefferson nickel collectors, nothing is more coveted than a coin with full steps. Look at the base of Monticello on the reverse. You'll see a series of small, horizontal steps. In most circulated coins, these steps are weak, mushy, or incomplete. But if a coin shows 5 or 6 fully separated steps, it qualifies as a full steps FS specimen. For 1968 nickels, full steps examples are extremely rare. That's why are climbing due to increased collector demand and extremely limited availability at these grades. In addition to full steps, 1968 nickels are known for rare and valuable mint errors, off-center strikes, a curved missing section on the coin's edge valued at $100 to $300 depending on size, struck on the wrong planchet, a nickel struck on a dime or penny, blank, rare and highly collectible, often selling. Each error tells the story of a one-of-a-kind mistake now transformed into a numismatic treasure. At the time, the nickel was not exciting to collectors. People were focused on silver dimes and quarters or rare wheat pennies. Modern coins were largely ignored. As a result, almost nobody saved high-grade 1968 nickels. Only decades later, when coin grading became a serious discipline and full steps varieties gained attention, collectors realized how few of these well-struck coins actually existed. This oversight is why high-quality examples are so valuable today. To truly confirm value, grading by a professional service is essential. PCGS, NGC, and ANACS authenticate, grade, and classify these coins. A raw 1968 nickel might appear flawless, but unless it's professionally. The Liberty 5-cent coin bearing the image of Thomas Jefferson was first introduced in 1938, replacing the iconic Buffalo nickel, designed by Felix Schlag. This new coin was meant to commemorate the 3rd President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. The obverse front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Jefferson, with the word Liberty inscribed to the right and the year of mintage, in this case 1984, placed beside it. Though the 1980 for Jefferson nickel is common, collectors look for full steps. Designation on Monticello, indicating a well-struck reverse. These anomalies can increase a coin's value significantly, with rare examples fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most prized features on a Jefferson nickel is the full steps on the reverse, referring to the steps in front of Monticello. To qualify, the coin must show 5 or 6 distinct and uninterrupted steps. In 1984, due to die wear and high production, full steps varieties are harder to find, making them valuable to collectors. 1984 was a significant year in American history, marked by Ronald Reagan's presidency, the Olympic Games in Los Angeles, and rapid technological growth. Coins minted during this era represent an America both grounded in tradition and heading toward the digital age. Felix Schlag, the German-born designer of the Jefferson nickel, won a design competition in 1938. His initials were not added until 1966, so they don't appear on the 1984 version of the coin. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins for collectors in 1984, characterized by their mirror-like finish and sharp details. These coins are highly collectible, especially when graded PR69 or PR70 by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC.coin. Grading is critical in determining value. The scale runs from poor P1 to mint state MS70. Most 1980 for nickels in circulation are worn, but mint state coins graded MS65 or higher are far rarer and more valuable. In auction markets, these rare varieties are sought after by era collectors, despite its common nature. The 1984 nickel is a favorite among collectors working on Jefferson nickel sets, especially those aiming for high-grade, error, or full steps examples. While not a typical investment-grade coin, rare varieties from 1984 can bring substantial returns. Collectors who specialize in nickels often seek pristine examples from this date. Professional services like PCGS and NGC certify and grade coins. Certified 1984 nickels with full steps in high grades are more valuable than raw examples. To maintain its value, a 1984 nickel should be stored in a dry, acid-free environment, preferably in a coin flip holder or slab if graded. Handling with gloves is also recommended. Interest in 1980s coinage has grown in recent years, especially among younger collectors who view these coins as part of their cultural past. The 1984 nickel represents an accessible entry point into serious numismatics. The Cold War was still simmering. Compact discs were just beginning to replace cassette tapes, and in the background of this rapidly advancing world, the United States Mint was quietly producing a simple silver-colored coin, worth only 5 cents, the 1985 Liberty 5-cent coin, more commonly known as the Jefferson nickel, went mostly unnoticed. Millions of them changed hands in vending machines, lunch counters, and corner stores. No one paid them much attention, but hidden among those millions are a few rare coins that, today, are worth thousands of dollars. This is the incredible story of how an ordinary 1985 nickel became an extraordinary collector's item. The obverse features the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by artist Felix Schlag. Jefferson faces left. The mint mark, either a P for Philadelphia or a D for Denver, is placed next to the date. On the reverse is Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia estate. The building stands centered, with E pluribus unum above it, and United States of America and 5 cents below. A simple design, but one that hides immense value in its tiny details. In 1985, Jefferson nickels were struck at two main U.S. mint facilities, but most were heavily circulated, damaged, or worn. The few that remain in mint state condition, especially with certain features, are what collectors chase today and are willing to pay thousands for. The 1985 Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs 5 grams, and has a plain edge. These coins were struck for speed and volume, not for precision. That's why sharp, well-struck examples are so rare and so valuable. The reverse, at the base of Monticello, there are a series of small steps. These steps were part of the original design, but due to worn dies and fast minting, most coins show weak or incomplete steps. However, on a few rare examples, the steps are fully visible and uninterrupted. These coins are awarded the full steps F's designation by grading services, and this tiny detail can add hundreds or thousands of dollars in value. Months, but add that full steps designation and the coin transforms into a small fortune. Collectors also prize error coins, and the 1985 nickel has several known types that bring premium prices. Off-center strikes, coins that were struck incorrectly on the press. Clipped blankets, a small chunk missing from the coin's edge. Double die errors, and noticeable doubling in lettering or Jefferson's profile. Extremely rare but can exceed wrong planchette errors. Coins struck on dime or penny blanks, the most valuable type. Each of these minting anomalies tells a story of a mistake that turned into a treasure. The 1980s were not a glamorous time for coin collecting. Focus was on silver coins, wheat pennies, and pre-1965 quarters. Modern coins like the Jefferson nickel were considered too new, too common, or too uninteresting. That lack of attention meant few collectors saved pristine examples from 1985, especially ones with sharp strikes or full steps.